Greetings and welcome to this next installment of Bible Topics that make you say, hmm. And I'm Robin Sweet Ransom. Okay, today's topic is brought to you by special demand or special request from my daughter Raven and her best friend Samantha. After viewing the last topic dealing with Jezebel, Raven sent me a text message that said, "Ooh, mama," or "Mom, you've got to do more on Jezebel. That last one wasn't even 6 minutes." And I said, "No, I know. People have short attention spans, and so I'm trying to keep it tight." But her best friend Samantha said, "You need to make it longer." So this video will be a bit longer, but I promise you'll get something out of it too. All right. So before I show you what I'm going to talk about next, I want you to ponder something. Can you think of some bad women? I mean, bad is in what you might think they're fierce, should nobody mess with them, whether it's real or imagined. I can think of Cookie from the Empire. She was a piece of work. She had her beauty going on, she had her intelligence going on. She was fierce, and she was also a murderer. And then we have the Power Book series with Canaan. And there's Raquel on that show, and she's got the beauty going on, she's got the intelligence going on, and she's got the fierceness going on, and she's also a murderer. Nothing to play with. Well, the same can be true about Jezebel. She wasn't nothing to play with. You hear me? So let's get into it. Let's talk about the power of Jezebel and ask yourself, do you have it? Do I have it? Do you even want it? All right, so let's get into Miss Jezebel and how she came to be. So First Kings chapter 16, verses 31 and 33 says, "Then, as if following the sin of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, were a trivial matter, he, Ahab, who was a king, married Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians." So he married a princess, and then proceeded to serve Baal and worship him. Ahab also made an Asherah pole. Ahab did more to provoke the Lord God of Israel than all the kings of Israel before him. And it can be said that he probably became more evil once he united with Jezebel. And it's also thought that perhaps he married Jezebel so that he could have more of an alliance with her father. Notice that both Jezebel and Ethbaal, the father's names, are linked to the false god Baal. That is by design. Right? And some people feel like the false god Baal represented Satan himself. So that's how deep it was. So now we've got her pedigree. Let's move forward. First Kings chapter 18, verse 4. "And Obadiah the prophet," who also has a book in the Bible, "took 100 prophets and hid them." Who did he hide them from? You'll get to that. He put 50 men in two caves and provided them with food and water because Jezebel has slaughtered the Lord's prophets, and she was out for blood and would slaughter more. So he hid those prophets away. So, like I said, Jezebel wasn't anything to play with. She was killing folks because she could, because she had the power to. After all, she was queen of Israel. She could do what she wanted when she wanted to do it. And sadly, it appears that the people who she had her eye on were servants of God, not just servants, prophets of God. Evil, wouldn't you say? Let's jump over to verse 40. "Then Elijah, another prophet, ordered them, 'Seize the prophets of Baal. Do not let even one of them escape.' So they seized them, and Elijah brought them down to the Wadi Kishon and slaughtered them there." I invite you to go hear the whole story there, because you'll see how Elijah rounded up all these false prophets of Baal, and there was a contest between whose God was stronger, Yahweh or Baal. And we found out in that exercise, or they found out, that Yahweh was stronger. And then Elijah said, "Kill all these people." Well, you know who wasn't, who you know who was not so pleased with that? Let's go to First Kings chapter 19, verses 1 through 3. So Elijah is like big and bad, right? Ahab told Jezebel everything that Elijah had done. He's like, ooh, I'm not going to deal with you. And I'm the king. I'm not going to deal with you. I'm going to let you deal with my tough wife because she's the boss. Ahab told Jezebel everything that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. He could have handled it, but no, he had to go to Mama, let her handle it. So Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, may the gods punish me and do so severely if I don't make your life like the life of one of them by this time tomorrow. But as we used to say back in the day, Elijah wasn't studying her, right? He serves the Most High God. He had just had a bunch of her prophets killed. He ain't studying her, right? Verse 3. Then Elijah became afraid and immediately ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba that belonged to Judah, he left his servant there. What powerful Elijah after all he had just done? He's running from a woman. She wasn't just no ordinary woman. She was Jezebel. First Kings chapter 21, 1 and 2. So that's what happened with Elijah. She wasn't just fierce with God's prophets. It's like she was calling Yahweh's bluff. Protect your prophets from me if you can. And so far, didn't look like anything was happening to her for killing all Yahweh's prophets. But as you learn from last time's story, Jezebel met with a vicious end. But anyway, let's go to 1 Kings chapter 21, verses 1 and 2. Let's see where she sets her sights next. Some time passed after these events. Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard. It was in Jezreel, next to the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. So Ahab spoke to Naboth, saying, give me your vineyard so I can have it for a vegetable garden, since it is right next to my palace. I will give you a better vineyard in its place, or if you prefer, I will just give you its value in silver. So this is the king making a request. And you would think Naboth would just roll over and say, okay, the king is making a request, here it is. And in this country, there's such a thing as eminent domain. When the government says they want your land, they take your land. They'll offer you a fair price, so they say, but they will take it to pave a freeway through or whatever. Ask a lot of Black homeowners who've had properties in areas that the government wanted to see if they didn't take it from them. 1 Kings 21, verses 3 through 7. But Naboth said to Ahab, I will never give my father's inheritance to you. So let me give you some context. When the Jews were set free from Egypt and God gave them the land flowing with milk and honey, taking over other people's lands, they were apportioned lands by tribes, and everybody of the 12 tribes got land. Everybody got land individually. And so you were not supposed to sell your inheritance outside of your tribe. And you shouldn't sell it to anybody. But if you had to sell it to somebody because you got in dire financial debt, then you sold it to someone within your tribe. So if I'm in the tribe of Judah, I'm not supposed to sell my land to someone who's in the tribe of Benjamin, because we may not get that land back. We need to keep the land in the family. Something that a lot of us need to remember to do today, right? 4. So Ahab went to his palace resentful and angry because of what Naboth the Jezreelite had told him. How dare he tell the king no? So he had said, I will not give you my father's inheritance. And he was ticked off about that. That's Naboth planning his, Ahab planning his mind what had just happened to him. So he lay down on his bed, turned his face away, and didn't eat any food. Punk, as my aunt would say. This is how he handled it. He getting all depressed. And he knew the rules, but he felt like he was king of Israel. He could do what he wanted to do. So verse 5, then his wife Jezebel came to him and said to him, so upset that you refused to eat. Because I spoke to Naboth, that Jezreelite. It's almost like he cursed him, didn't he? He replied, I told him, give me your vineyard for silver. If you wish, I will give you a vineyard in this place. But he said, I won't give you my vineyard. He is a whiny king, but he's got Jezebel for a wife. The power of Jezebel. Do you have it? Then his wife Jezebel said to him, silly man, now exercise your royal power over Israel. Be a man. Why do I got to do everything for you? Get up, eat some food, and be happy. For I will give you the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. I'll take care of things like I always do. Kind of remind me of Rocky from the Canaan series, because she's so tired of her brothers always having to clean up their messes and they want to whine. And she said, I don't have time for all that. I do what I got to do. And I don't whine about it. So why are you whining about it? So verse 8 says, so she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal. She sent the letters to the elders and nobles who lived with Naboth in his city. And the letters she wrote proclaim a fast and seat Naboth at the head of the people. So he's going to think he's been honored. Then seat two wicked men opposite him and have them testify against him, saying, you have cursed God and the king. Then take him out and stone him to death. So she didn't even need to get her little manicured fingers dirty. Then they sent word to Jezebel, Naboth has been stoned to death. When Jezebel heard that Naboth had been stoned to death, a very painful death, she said to Ahab, get up and take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, who refused to give it to you for the silver, since Naboth isn't alive but dead. So he didn't want to take the money. He didn't want to take other land. Well, I just took his life. Go take his land. She was a boss. Do you admire Jezebel by any chance? Do you wish you were Jezebel? Well, again, the power of Jezebel. Do you have it? Do you want it? Godly power is exercised with love, which is the opposite of satanic power. Satanic power is abusive, which should be no surprise. But God's power is love. It comes from a source of his love for us. And whatever he does when he exerts his power is because of that love. Not so with Satan and not so with his minions. Not so with Jezebel. Jezebel was pagan, wicked, and killed Yahweh's prophets. She further corrupted her husband, King Ahab of Israel, and she murdered Naboth so her husband could steal his land. She was fierce, nothing to be played with, and she got what she wanted at any cost, even if that cost meant your life. Whew. Godly power puts the interests of others above oneself. And selflessness was something that Jezebel and Ahab were not. They were extremely selfish. And the two of them as a team, ooh, a mess. But you know what? Just like God punished them back then, God will punish all who misuse their power. Because remember, Ahab was supposed to represent Yahweh. He was the king of Israel. But he, as the Bible says, he did more to provoke the Lord than any other king before him. He was a hot mess. And he married a wicked woman whom he should not have married. That woman, Jezebel. As I said earlier, Yahweh will do some punishing. He will punish the merciless. And they were merciless. They had no business killing prophets. They definitely had no business killing Naboth, all because he said no and honored what the Lord had said about land. Let's go to Isaiah 10:1-3. Here's our assurance. Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees, to deprive the poor of their rights and withhold justice from the oppressed of my people, making widows their prey and robbing the fatherless. What will you do on the day of reckoning when disaster comes from afar? I like that. What will you do when it comes from you, for you? To whom will you run for help? When it's God that's coming after you. Satan can't save you. The God you've been worshiping. Where will you leave your riches? So don't despair, saints. There are some people who seem to continue to get away with everything. They seem to beat court cases or not get treated the way they deserve. But one day they will meet their maker. And maybe we won't see the reckoning on earth, although I really want to see the reckoning on earth. But they will get the reckoning later on and end up in the eternal lake of fire, which is a better punishment than anything man can do to them on earth. All right, now I want to give you another treat. Samantha and Raven, guess what's coming next? We talked about the beauty of Jezebel. We just talked about the power of Jezebel. Next, we're going to talk about the influence of Jezebel. Do you have it? All right, join me next time on Bible Topics that make you say, Please like, share, help me spread the gospel. Get this out there to other people who love the Bible being made plain to them. Okay, and drop some comments in the comment section. Let me know if you know a Jezebel. All right, see you next time.